I love to write, Samuel, and I hope you love to write someday soon, if you don't now. I started when I was about 13, 14 years old, and I've been writing nonstop, really, no matter what kind of work I was doing. And when I was just starting out, I was a poet. I started writing poetry, which I highly recommend because if you can write a poem, you can write almost anything. It's a great discipline and a way of sparking your imagination and also improving your skill at writing the kind of things that people like to read. So, and because I started out as a poet, I got recognition pretty early on. I was only a junior in high school when I entered a few of my poems into a citywide poetry contest sponsored by the New York Board of Education. And I I'd had a couple of poems in there. I had been writing poetry since I was a freshman, and I completely knocked the socks off of my freshman English class when I read them my very first poem, actually. Um, and here, okay, I'm going to tell you since you insist. Okay, the topic was I had a dream. I had to write something about I had a dream, and my classmates were writing, kind of very lightweight, fuzzy stuff. But mine, when I got up and read mine, it caused quite a stir because my poem went like this. I had a dream. I was a huge black man lying on a jailhouse floor that smelled of urine and sweat. And over me stood a huge white man holding a whip. And he had been beating me. And then I jumped up and I grabbed the whip and I spat in his face. And oh Lord, how he shivered. Well, especially this is before all of the civil rights and all of this started. So this is pretty, pretty shocking, especially on a poem. No butterflies and pretty flowers in this one. So that's when I got started, and getting a kind of strong reaction from my classmates made me think that really this is something I should be pursuing. And so I did. And I've really been writing ever since. A couple of years later, in my junior year in the High School of Music and Art in New York, and I got some poems into the poetry contest. And when I went to the contest results, and they were invited the students who had offered poems to be considered. It turned out that mine, the two or three poems that I submitted, were considered good enough, so I was one of the prize winners. And the exciting thing was that this poetry contest was attended by none other than Langston Hughes, one of America's greatest poets of all time, and one of my favorites, actually. And he presented me with Langston Hughes presented me with my poetry award. What an honor! What an incredible honor! And the prize wasn't much. It was a book of Robert Frost poems, but it was still nice, and I hang on to it for years until somebody lost it for me. So this was my first prize, and the next year, when I was a senior, I entered a contest that was sponsored by a radio station, WABC Radio, and it was first I heard my little essay about my school because the theme was "Here's my school." So I wrote about music and art, and it helped a lot that music and art is such an interesting school. But Cousin Brucey read it on the air, on the radio. Cousin Brucey was one of the top radio talents at that time. And he read it to the essay, and it turned out that I won. My poem won this award, and the prize was $1,000 scholarship. There was only one problem. I wasn't really that excited about going to any college. But when this award was announced, my high school counselor said, "Quick, you got to come in. We got to talk, about where you're going to college, so you can take advantage of this scholarship." And so she got me an interview and an audition at NYU, New York University School of the Arts, and where I would be studying drama, acting. And she helped me get this pushed through in time to win the award. I accepted my award at a very nice luncheon sponsored by WABC that was held in a place called Tavern on the Green, which is still a very popular restaurant in Central Park. And I went in and took my semester at NYU. The only trouble was 1 year at NYU costs a lot more than $1,000. So I didn't have any more money. So it was a great semester. It was a great school. And this was the very first class of what turned into the Tisch School of the Arts, which is one of the most popular schools, colleges inside NYU. And I had a lot of great adventures as an acting student too, but no dough, no go. So I was out of college for 6 months until I started a school that it was really much better suited for, which was Friendsworld College or Friendsworld Institute when I started. And we'll hear more about that in another story. So I hope you enjoyed knowing that your grandfather is a prize winner and for his writing. And I hope that it'll encourage you to do a little bit of writing when you're not taking care of your mom and dad. Be good.